Hello, my name is Michelle Kapmeyer. I'm a high school teacher certified in Spanish, and I have a special ed Strat 2 LDBD endorsement. My paper is about the effect of self-efficacy on reading comprehension. I was interested in this topic because I have 9 participants with IEPs who showed disinterest in school, low effort, low attention. 5 had a reading disability, and all 9 showed low reading comprehension in their English courses. Reading mechanics was not a problem, and I wondered what else we could do to help. Digging deeper, reading proficiency seems to be a bigger problem than I realized nationwide. Half of high school graduates in 2015 were not proficient in reading, according to the nation's report card. 8th grade students the same year, 34% were proficient. In the state of Iowa, only 36% were proficient, according to the nation's report card. Closer to home, looking at Iowa assessments and focusing on students with IEPs, in 2014 to 16, only 27% of 8th grade students with IEPs were proficient in reading. For 11th grade, 30% of students with IEPs were proficient in reading. Possible solution may be incorporating a fixed versus growth mindset theory, boosting self-efficacy, and in turn boosting reading comprehension. Low self-efficacy has been shown to be correlated with lower scores in reading comprehension. Negative self-perceptions, inattentive behaviors, and low literacy skills have shown a relationship. And for adolescents, a reading skill deficiency, along with a decline in reading motivation, makes closing the gap in reading achievement more difficult. Students who struggle with reading do poorly in language arts classes, but are also at an increased risk of dropping out of school. If a student believes that task completion is possible, then effort to complete the task will increase. Gap in the research was in using self-efficacy to improve reading comprehension in high school students with learning disabilities. The theoretical framework was the fixed versus growth mindset theory, Dweck, 2006. A fixed mindset is a belief that intelligence and ability are preset, where in a growth mindset is the belief that intelligence and ability can change with effort. This was an ABAB design study. The purpose was to investigate the impact of positive self-efficacy on reading comprehension for 9 participants with learning disabilities. If participants could build a growth mindset or self-efficacy, then reading comprehension would improve. The dependent variable was reading comprehension, and the independent variable was self-efficacy strategies. The mean age of participants was age 17. There were 8 Caucasians and 1 mixed race African American and Caucasian. 2 females, all had IEPs. 5 of the participants had a documented reading disability, and only 2 of those 5 were proficient in reading on the Iowa assessment in 2017. 4 participants did not have a reading disability. However, none of them were proficient in reading on the Iowa assessment in 2017. Because of this discrepant data about reading disability, participants took the informal reading inventory to establish their reading grade level. The hypothesis that if participants received self-efficacy instruction, then their reading comprehension would increase. This was an 8-week study. During phase A were the pretests to establish reading grade level and baselines in reading comprehension and self-efficacy. The informal reading inventory pre-primer to 12th grade, 8th edition, was used this assessment was done with an instructional coach one-on-one and there was no reliability or validity data available, but it did determine what grade level they were reading at. The 13-item self-efficacy questionnaire was used to establish self-efficacy beliefs. Participants took these individually online using their school-issued Chromebook, and the reliability alpha was 0.9. Using the Jamestown Education Timed Reading Plus, we assessed reading comprehension, specifically recall and understanding. Each student took the test at their appropriate reading level, and these were taken individually with paper and pencil, and participants were allowed to look back at the passage while answering questions. There was no reliability or validity data available. During phase B1, students learned and practiced growth mindset. We would start with a video from maybe Khan Academy, TED, Train Ugly. You can see Appendix A for videos. Following the video, there was would be a class discussion or individual activities on paper, focusing on growth and fixed mindset, or a free writing activity where they typed a paragraph expressing their ideas and were not deducted for grammar or spelling. Were not deducted for those errors. At the end of phase B1 was the mid-study test of reading comprehension using the Jamestown readers. During phase A2, there were no self-efficacy strategies explicitly taught and no testing. Phase B2, during phase B2, students reviewed and practiced growth mindset, similar to phase B1, starting with a video, followed by a discussion, individual work, or writing. Again, videos are in Appendix A. At the end of this phase, students did the post-test survey of self-efficacy and a post-test of reading comprehension using the Jamestown readers. The dependent samples t-test was used to compare reading comprehension scores, and the alpha was 0.05 for all statistical tests. The hypothesis: if reading comprehension and self-efficacy increased, it would be determined that self-efficacy training led to improved reading comprehension. The findings did not support the hypothesis. Dependent sample t-test showed improvement in reading comprehension from the pre-test to the mid-study test. However, from the mid-study test to the post-test, reading comprehension scores did not improve, nor from the pre-test to the post-test did they improve. You can see that the mean did improve from the pre-test to the mid and dropped slightly from the mid-test to the post-test. However, the standard deviations were quite large. The purpose of this study was to investigate the impact of positive self-efficacy on reading comprehension for these 9 adolescents with learning disabilities. Self-efficacy was taught using Dweck's fixed versus mindset growth theory, and previous research showed that self-efficacy correlated with improved academic effort and progress. Results of this study did not support Dweck's theory, and she did state that while mindset is a strong belief, a person can move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset with practice. Self-efficacy beliefs can have an effect on the amount of effort put into a task and the persistence in completing the task. A negative relationship between, a relationship between negative self-perceptions and inattentive behaviors and low literacy has been seen in past research. In my study, the participants were taught about growth mindset and how Practicing it could lead to improved learning. Activities included videos, class discussions, paper and pencil activities, and free writing. Unlike the findings of past researchers, I did not find a positive correlation between self-efficacy and reading comprehension. Limitations include time. This was an 8-week study, and there was no follow-up assessment. Previous researchers did not see improvement at the conclusion of their study, but when they went back and did a long-term improvement, but saw long-term improvement in a post-study follow-up. As reading remediation takes time, it may be recommended that future research lasts longer and possibly follow-up assessments be conducted. The mean age of the participants was 17, but the grades varied from grades 9 to 12. This was a broad range of reading levels. Future suggestions would be to have a more homogeneous group as far as age groups go, or reading level for treatment. If by age, varying by 2 years or less in order to focus on age-appropriate activities, or closer yet to, if it's reading level, to focus on appropriate reading skill building. Another limitation may have been unfamiliar testing procedures. The IRI test was done with an instructional coach rather than the classroom teacher. Future researchers may want to consider training the classroom teacher to administer all measures. Participants were responsive to growth mindset techniques during phase B1, but not in phase B2. Possibly repetition of techniques led to low interest. In the future, researchers may want to consider using a wider variety of materials to lessen repetition. Validity and reliability were limitations. The only test with reliability data was the 13-item self-efficacy questionnaire. There was no reliability or validity data for the informal reading inventory or the Jamestown readers. Both are widely used in my district, so that was not expected. In the future, it would be recommended that researchers use measures that have strong reliability and validity data. This study focused on only one non-cognitive reading skill, self-efficacy. There are other non-cognitive reading skills that do support good reading. Future researchers may want to incorporate more robust strategies that include reading skill building, appropriate for adolescents, along with non-reading skills. Early interventions, particularly elementary age, appear to make the biggest impact on reading self-efficacy, low reading ability, and inattentive behaviors. But skilled reading is not out of reach for adolescents with low literacy skills. Reading interventions appropriate for adolescents may include complex texts that support sophisticated reasoning, not necessarily practicing literacy skills in isolation, and use of non-cognitive skills such as self-efficacy. Behavior engagement and positive teacher perception also support reading growth in adolescents. This study did not demonstrate improved reading comprehension scores. However, the benefits of self-efficacy in academic success has been shown in previous research. If you have questions or comments, please email me. I have my email addresses here and on my first slide. Thank you for your time. And then here are my references, followed by the appendix that includes the videos used in the B phases. Thank you for your time.